Welcome to Bloodbath & Beyond. Today we're doing a retrospective review of Waxwork. Stop on by and give Afterlife a try.
I see you're interested in my waxworks. I'm having a private showing tonight.
Written and directed by Anthony Hickox, starring Zach Galligan and Deborah Foreman. This movie is about a wacky wax museum that has their attendees falling into the exhibits that are like illusions and bring them into the world where they are destined to die. This is a recommendation from Patreon from Katie. She's been recommending this for ages now, and it's one of those movies that a lot of people probably recognize the poster of. The little guy. You know the little guy. So I'm glad we actually get to watch it. And I already had the Vestron Blu-ray release.
Which was great because we got to do the commentary over top of that Blu-ray.
Yeah, so if you're interested in Patreon and you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us or listen to the commentary and watch along with us, link is in the description. But we're gonna get into our likes. I love Deborah Foreman. She's just the best. I think she did a great job. I love the cast in general, but she's like a huge highlight for me just because she's just so cool.
Kiss me, Sarah.
Kiss this.
I personally liked David Warner, who plays our Waxwork owner.
I'm sorry, ladies. Did I startle you?
Heart attack, maybe. Startle, no.
When I saw him right away, I was like, man, he looks familiar. And sure enough, the inner child in me recognized him from TMNT 2, The Secret of the Ooze, where he's the professor. I mean, he's in a lot of other things, but that's probably the role I remember the most. He did a great job as our villain.
Kill the wimp.
Yeah, who's just running this wax museum with all these crazy setups that have Frankensteins and mummies and werewolves, basically all Universal monsters with other stuff. We even have a little Shop of Horrors situation, the Invisible Man.
We were expecting a night of the museum type thing where the teens are in there, or the college students in this case, and the museum comes to life, but instead they enter the exhibit. So it's not actually taking place in the museum itself. That was really cool.
Which just also helps with the production value because you're going to all these different sets. So the pacing is pretty fast because you're going to all these different locations with different characters, even the characters you already know, like the students. When they get sucked in, they become somebody else. They're in different wardrobes, they have different hair, usually terrible wigs. And they are just completely immersed in these situations, and it's great. And when they're in there, they all are just pitted against these other sub bosses, these mini bosses that are great in their own respect. The first one that we see is a werewolf, and we get a werewolf transformation, but we also get a really cool werewolf costume.
We get a sweet body split from that werewolf where he grabs the one guy's head and just rips his body in half, and then we get our Dracula scene.
Yeah, we've got China. She dips into this place, which I get. If I was at an exhibit, I'd want to step over the rope for a little vampire action personally.
Oh, be careful what you wish for.
And I think I'd probably go in there, and she didn't even give a shit. She walks in, she's like, oh, look at me, I got my little feathers on, I got this white dress, and I'm gonna eat a bunch of human leg.
Tartare.
Steak tartare.
But she's just totally down with the whole vampire life. She gives in, she goes downstairs, she sees this guy's leg is ripped off and she's been eating it, and she starts killing all these vampires. And there's just blood going everywhere. There's no shortage of gore in this movie, which was actually a huge shock to me. I did not expect that. I expected waxy figures to die.
Not a sweet white room that just turns into a bloodbath.
It was awesome and suitable for our channel. And then she goes upstairs and she's like, fuck it, take a bite out of this neck. Look at that, come on, get in here, pal.
Give me a little nibble.
And then all of the other characters kind of go through a similar thing, not as intense as those ones.
Except for the mummy one. That one was also a nice one with some good kills, because we had the super powerful mummy that's straight out of Mummies Alive.
And Inspector Roberts, he tried his best. It didn't work out.
Yeah, you got trapped with Raoul. I did like that we had a Night of the Living Dead ripoff, which was a nice almost shot for shot to a Romero film. So that was cool. And then our swashbuckling Englishmen.
Are they pirates? Are they musketeers? I don't fucking know. They were guys with bandanas and swords and whips. And Deborah Foreman, She's in there getting whipped up, and I felt so bad, but she felt so good, it seemed.
Man, she got sweaty just reading the book. Remember how aroused she got in the attic?
Yeah, I get that. That's like me reading Hustler. Woo! Basically, our guy, Mark, Zach, has to go and save her and stop her from getting whipped. It's just a fun time of people just jumping into different worlds and getting out. Zach seems to be the only guy who like knows how to get out.
Speaking of whips, man, sound effects, primo in this film.
Oh yeah, our little man, when he's doing the bows and his hair's whipping.
Reminded me of Pootie Tang.
It's probably the same guy. Inspector Roberts is looking at the photos and the fans going. There's just too much going on, sound-wise. I love the little guy. Little guy and big guy, great combo. It really makes the little guy look littler and the big guy look bigger.
Our little Lurch.
No, Big Lurch.
Big Lurch and
Little butler guy.
little butler guy.
Little Jenkins. We had a
Jenkins?
regular Jenkins
Yeah.
who was the butler.
Your nicotine?
That was a pleasant surprise too, where like Jenkins like busts in at the end with like the gang and he's like,
Roll here and ready, start! Jenkins. Good evening, sir.
And it's just a big showdown because the concept, I guess, the Wax guys needed 18 souls to be put into these exhibits. They actually succeeded and got all of these creatures to come to life, and there's a showdown between the old folks home, apparently, which are just like friends of the guy in the wheelchair.
It's literally just a bunch of old explorers who in their youth traveled the world searching for mysteries and like legends, and now they're just retired.
And that's what's confusing. Like, I did like the big battle because it's so fun to see everything in action all at once. But at the same time, because they used such terrible wigs, you didn't know who was supposed to be a mannequin bad guy and who was supposed to be a good guy. Because the old guys are just played by young guys.
Except for our mustached man who was setting ablaze to everything. He stood out more than anyone.
But I for a long time, I didn't know who, if he was good or bad, until I saw him putting in work. He really tore the house down. Just in general, the movie is just fun. If you haven't seen it, yeah, we've spoiled a bunch of it, but you gotta watch it. It's just, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of characters, you're probably gonna like it. But let's move on to what we didn't like. There were a couple situations where you're teased with it by the exhibit that you wanted to see happen. This is one of those movies, one of the few movies where I'm like, if this ran way longer, I would be very happy. All of these other little micro situations had great stories written on them right away. And I think it would have been cool to see all of them. But at the same time, the movie would have been like 4 hours long.
That also sucks too because like one of my dislikes is how they sped things up. It was almost like a Deus Ex Machina situation with all you have to do is not believe.
If I don't believe in you, then you don't exist.
Get out of jail free card right here.
So they could just get out whenever they want and just move on with the story, I guess. And so yeah, it's one of those things, but like at the same time, we're not here for logic either, so this is just like one of those gripes that it doesn't really matter because the film as a whole is still pretty good. It's just nitpicky.
Yeah, like if we're gonna keep nitpicking, I'm gonna knock Deborah Foreman's character here. I know.
Oh my God.
But this is where the nitpick comes. It's not just her, but it's like her and Zach's situation. Cause like Zach's all about China. He's like, I wanna get with her. I'm so mad that she's into like Johnny and his body.
She loves his body.
Yeah.
But he still has something Mark hasn't. A body. I mean, we're talking major body.
It goes from like him just being all in on China, they go to the museum, Deborah's our like pure innocent virgin, and then after they leave, he goes to make a move on Deborah, which is out of nowhere, like an RKO. She like rejects him, but is also like, right before that was like,
I really like you and I think you're very attractive.
but I don't want you to make a move on me.
I'm looking for something else.
And she's all smiley about it too.
And then she's like getting hot and heavy with our like whip boy. I'm really confused by like her like, I'm into you, but I don't want to be with you because I want to be whipped by this guy.
Right, like I'm a virgin, but I love Devo. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. This was a good, fun movie. It's a really fun environment with some bad decisions by the characters. But I mean, I would be coaxed immediately, so who am I to judge? Great practical effects. I love the acting, and I love the cast. I think everybody did an awesome job. And it's just one of those movies, if you haven't seen, you have to watch because it was a fun time. So I'm gonna give this 4 Willy Wonka knockoffs out of 5.
This is an interesting one because it wasn't what I was expecting, but it was what I was expecting. It was definitely a Night in the Museum style of horror film, but told differently and way more exciting. I loved the characters, I loved the story, and I just think this was a really cool concept. It was something that gave us really good practical effects and kills, and I'm kind of excited for the sequel. I'm curious to see where it goes from there. If you haven't seen this one, definitely worth a watch. So with that being said, I give this film 4 idle hands out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. Check out the Vestron release. It's on Blu-ray. It comes with the sequel. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review or listen to the commentary, Patreon link in the description and the pinned comment. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything here on Bloodbath and Beyond, and help us get to 100K, please.